You open your eyes on your own. No alarm, no calendar, no boss waiting for you to log in. For roughly 300,000 years, this was every single human morning. Today you spend about 90,000 hours of your life working a job. Jobs in the way you know them didn't exist for most of human history. No wages, no schedule, no manager. So what filled the day instead? In 1963, anthropologist Richard Lee walked into the Kalahari Desert to live alongside the Kung people near Dobe in what is now Botswana. He counted every hour they spent hunting, gathering, and preparing food. The number came out to about 20 hours a week, less than half of a modern work week. Lee published the study in 1968, and it forced anthropologists to rethink everything they assumed about early humans. 2 years earlier, at a 1966 symposium called Man the Hunter, economist Marshall Sahlins argued something radical. He called hunter-gatherers the original affluent society, not because they had more stuff, because they wanted less and had time left over once they got it. Now maybe you're thinking, sure, but those are living people today. How do we know ancient humans lived this way? The bones answer that question. When researchers compare skeletons of early farmers to hunter-gatherers before them, farmers are shorter, their teeth show more decay, and their spines carry damage from repeated bending and lifting, season after season. Hunter-gatherer skeletons show fewer of these repetitive strain injuries. Their bodies weren't grinding through the same motion for hours, daily, but the clearest proof that time was left over comes from what people made when nothing forced them to make it. At Blombos Cave in South Africa, archaeologists led by Christopher Henshilwood found engraved pieces of ochre deliberately scored with crosshatch patterns roughly 100,000 years ago. Alongside them, tiny shell beads with holes drilled through the center, clearly meant to be worn, not eaten, not used as a tool, pure decoration. Drilling one shell by hand with stone tools takes real focused time. Someone did this over and over for beauty. In Germany, in a cave called Hohle Fels, archaeologist Nicholas Conard found a flute carved from a vulture's wing bone around 40,000 years ago, with 5 finger holes spaced with real precision. Someone measured, cut, and tuned that instrument on purpose. And near Vladimir, Russia, at a site called Sungir, archaeologists uncovered a burial from 34,000 years ago, covered in nearly 3,000 ivory beads, sewn into clothing bead by bead. Each bead alone takes close to an hour to shape and drill by hand. 3,000 beads is thousands of hours spent on clothing for the dead. That is not the labor of a species fighting every hour just to eat. So picture an ordinary day. You wake near a fire that never fully died out overnight. You eat what's left from yesterday, meat, roots, whatever was gathered. Breakfast is loud, social, full of talk about the day ahead. By mid-morning, a few people leave to hunt or gather. Not everyone, not every day. If food is already stored, the whole group might stay in camp. The rest of the morning goes to fixing tools, weaving baskets, softening hide. Slow, careful, skilled work with no clock pushing anyone to finish. By early afternoon, if a hunt happened, it's already over and the group eats. What comes next is the part modern life makes hard to picture. Rest. People sit in shade, groom each other's hair, pull ticks and dirt out strand by strand, which does more than clean skin, it holds the group together. Children run between adults while tools are carved, unfinished, set down, picked up again later. There is no rush because there is no deadline waiting on the other side. When the sun drops, talk around the fire changes. During the day, it was practical. Which plants were ripe, where tracks were seen. At night, it turns into stories. Ancestors, animals that could talk, jokes, warnings, the kind of talk that has nothing to do with finding food tomorrow. And sleep itself looked different. Historian Roger Ekirch spent years digging through pre-industrial European court records, diaries, and medical texts, and found repeated mentions of first sleep and second sleep, split by an hour or two of quiet waking time in the middle of the night. No light bulb was pushing sleep into one solid block like it does for you now. Add it up. Around 20 hours a week on food and survival tasks. Long stretches of social time, talk, grooming, play, sleep split into two calmer phases, and hours spent on things with no survival value at all, just beads, music, carving, stories. Then, around 10,000 BCE, something shifted in the Fertile Crescent. People began planting grain on purpose instead of only gathering what grew wild. Farming produces more food per patch of land, so it supports more people, and more people need more food, so more land gets farmed. Once that cycle starts, there's no version of going back to 20 hours a week because the population can no longer feed itself by hunting alone. Skeletons from early farming villages confirm the cost. Shorter frames, weaker bones, more infections from crowded settlements, and skeletal signs of near-constant repetitive labor. Farming built granaries, and granaries needed guarding, counting, dividing. Out of that need came roles: farmer, guard, potter, trader, and eventually someone whose entire day belonged to someone else's decisions. The job was born out of surplus, and surplus was born out of the trap farming set. You didn't choose the 90,000 hours. That number was built up over 10,000 years of a system that started with a handful of planted seeds and never found a reason to slow back down.